Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller, and I am really, really excited to be doing this today. I am just excited because I have my dad with me, and he is. A lot of people asking about like us doing a conversation together, and I don't know why this is going up and down, Dad. Let me just check here. Let me just check the audio here because I'm really not understanding. Check, check, check. Can everybody hear us here? Perfect. All right. Like I was saying before, Tristan here, and I'm doing a new segment. It's not really a new segment. I'm just having a conversation with my dad, and we were talking about a few things related to photography and cinematography and all that jazz. And that was about the new announcement, Canon's new announcement of the EOS R5 and the EOS R6. So what do you have to say about it, Dad? What do you think?
Uh, well, for those cameras, I'd have to really check it out properly to see what difference does it make compared to the AR7, I think, right?
Yep. Yep.
Have to check it out to see the difference.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm a Canon person anyway, so I
But
probably maybe like it.
but you know what? You said something really interesting before, right? You said something earlier today. You were talking about how like everybody's like caught up on gear, right? What can you talk a little bit about that? Like how what you think about creatives nowadays with regards to nowadays. I sound so old, but like, come on in, come in the frame. Be it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he can be less than 6 feet away from me because you know, I'm his seed, right? I'm
Yeah, yeah,
I'm his
yeah.
son. All right,
Very
he's
cool,
living
very
with me
cool,
right
yeah.
now. But Dad, yeah, talk about that a little bit. Talk like tell us. Eat the mic. You got to eat the
Yeah,
mic.
yeah, 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 yeah. What I've noticed these last few years is that
Yeah,
most people, a lot of photographers always want the new camera that comes out, right?
absolutely.
Is
I
it
want,
is
but
it
I
is
want the new camera.
Yeah, but do you want the new camera for status, or do you want a new camera because you want to elevate yourself in a higher standard, or
Mm?
doing better photograph or better videography? What you really want the camera
I, I
for?
like I like that question. Hold on,
Yeah.
let me give you a big up, Dad.
Hey,
Gotta
hey,
give
hey.
gotta give
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta give that because that's a hot take, right?
yeah. What what do you really want the camera for? Do you want it for status, or do you want it to for a greater purpose in your photography work to move
Mm-hmm.
forward? What do you really want the camera for?
Mm-hmm.
Because don't not cutting your anything there, Tristan. Because most time we have a camera, we don't even um, fully understand the full potential of that camera.
Mm-hmm.
So why move on to another camera where the technology is more advanced when you don't know the one you had before?
Well, because I mean, in all honesty, do we? We have we have cars for 10 years. Do we learn everything about the car? We don't.
No.
We learn how to drive it from
Yeah,
point A to
but you
point B.
change your car. You don't change your car because
That's true.
you want a better car. You change your car because the one you have it can't drive no
Well,
more, or something wrong with it, right?
some people definitely see the new Tesla and they're like, okay, I need to get a Tesla. But I get what you're saying. I get the point you're making. It's the whole idea of like when is enough enough? When are we going to stop chasing pixels and resolution and start creating what we see, right? Creating and telling stories, right?
Yeah, because I've been in this photography business for many years,
Yes, actually,
over 30 years, right?
I'll say that.
You know?
Sorry. So this is my dad. For those of you that are just joining us, obviously I'm Tristan Barracks, the digital storyteller. This is my pops. He's been a photographer, really the chief digital storyteller in our family for over 30 years. He taught me everything I know in terms of fundamentals of photography, understanding how to tell a story, understanding how to deal with clients, how to bill them, how to contract, how to create agreements, how to run your business. I learned it from this dude. Okay, so anything that you hear from me, the foundation was built from my dad. A few days ago, I did a video with him, just talking, just sharing his thoughts and stuff. And one of the bits of feedback, and I don't know if I told you this, Dad, was that people really, really enjoyed. hearing from you. They thought that you had an interesting perspective. So I said, you know what? Let me just bring you on and let's just talk and like let's see what's going on.
I'm just in hiatus for a little while, because, not tooting my own horn, right? I mean, there's lots of students pass through my hands, in photography, and there's lots of people out there who can say yes or no to that stuff, right? But I find what I notice is that younger, most people who are in photography just want new equipment for status. Most the veteran wanted for a greater purpose, so that they can improve their work. So, do you want it to improve your work, or you want it for status? That's a question you must ask yourself.
I want the EOS R5 because it has 8K.
No. That's the reason you want it, right? But most people
I want it
no,
because it is going to tell me how to do better stories in 8K.
Okay, one thing I know, one thing I know from photography point of view is that in all the years I'm in it, we get another camera to do better work.
Yes.
We don't get another camera to have bigger status, because most of the time the people who has another camera don't even know how to turn that camera on. And
Absolutely.
I want to tell you what. I've taught photography for many years.
Yeah, it's been about what, 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen students come into the class with some heavy duty equipment, and they can't even turn the camera on. So think about it.
I remember working at Apple for years. I worked at Apple. I worked there for almost 8 years. And when I was working, teaching people how to learn Final Cut and how to use their computers and all that sort of stuff, one of the things I was amazed at was how many people, especially when I was working at Sherway Gardens, how many film directors, how many documentarians, how many commercial cinematographers would come in and have no idea how to use the equipment, have no idea how to use their cameras, have no idea how to edit, how to tell, like they had an idea and they got a big budget and then they were just figuring it out. And I was like, okay, well, if they can do it and they're coming to me and asking me for help, why can't I do it, right? Why can't I leverage my knowledge to become, better and to make money for myself instead of for Apple or for any other brand, right?
Yeah, because I've noticed over the years with photography, because that's where my expertise are, that usually that in those days you have Hasselblad and Bronica and you have the Nikon, the medium format Hasselblad and Bronica, and there's another one I can't remember its name, but most of the guys them usually have the Hasselblad.
You got to eat the mic.
Yeah, most of the guys them who usually have the Hasselblad, they were big guys out there who usually do good photography. You don't just buy a camera because you want to have a status. I hate that idea.
But I think I think in all fairness, the reality is that it's what we call good marketing, right? Yeah. Whether it's Canon, whether it's Sony, whether it's Fuji or Panasonic or Nikon, they've created brands that are like Nike or that are like other brands, Apple. If I buy this, then I am this, right? Yeah. If I buy an Apple Watch that's $1,000, then I am important, then I am rich, then I am certain things. So even when you're talking about the media area, because you're a professional, right? You're a professional photographer. I'm a professional digital storyteller. Like, we look at tools or cameras in different ways. We look at them as a tool, right? A lot of people, and Canon knows this, a lot of people buy cameras and will never touch it. And that's okay. Because they're in the business of selling cameras, not educating people on how to do photography.
Yeah,
right?
Because one of the things I've noticed is that if somebody have a portable flash, do you really know how to use a portable flash? Because those companies doesn't teach you how to use a portable flash.
Let's ask the people. There's 5 people watching right now. Like, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's about, do you get caught up in the gear, or do you think about things rationally as you're buying it? Or do you get lost in like, I want to buy a new camera. This is a new camera, the EOS R, the EOS 6 is an amazing new camera. I'm going to pre-order it, and I don't even know what I'm going to use it for, but I know I'm going to buy one. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think about it, right? Because, I mean, again, I think all of us go through that, right? And even with what you were saying, thinking about the whole idea of what it means to use your flash. Like, do you have a camera right now, for those of you that are watching, that has a flash built into it? Do you know how to use that flash?
Yeah, even the flash even built into the
Yeah.
camera, and even the portable one.
Do you know the portable one is the one that goes on? Yeah.
Do you know how to use your flash? That's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Do you know the f-stop of your flash? All those stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Or you just put the flash on and put it on automatic and just take photos?
I personally think that most people just go to automatic, right? Because it just makes it easier for everybody. It makes it easier for them to get through, right? Because when you're looking at, sorry, I'm just looking over here at the comments here. When you're looking through your equipment and you buy a camera, you think the camera is all you need, right? You think the camera is what makes the magic, right? You think the camera and the low lighting and the sharpness and the autofocus is what's going to give you a good shot, when it's like composition, your f-stop, your shutter speed. It's the time of day that you film. It's not having a shaky hand, using a tripod, using artificial flash. All of those sort of things are things that help in terms of giving you more what's the word I want to use? Giving you more of a chance to create a way better image, right?
Yeah, and I always, because of teaching this photography, most people with the flash, most people don't know the guide number of the flash.
I'm trying to make sure you're in focus. There you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They're not, they don't know the guide number of a flash, right?
Mhm.
Photography is all about light. Most people don't use flash in the daylight, right?
Yeah.
Because they think the photograph going to be exposed.
Yeah.
I think I differ, because it's you're supposed to use a flash, so you can fill the shadow area, dark areas.
Well, this was one of the things that you used to always tell me when I started doing photography, was like, I need to use flash, and I'm like, yeah, sure, Dad. I'm a natural light photographer, right? We say all these things to kind of hide the fact that we may not be comfortable with using certain photography tools or even cinematography tools, right? There's some cinematographers that are like, listen, I just need natural light and I'm good, until they understand like the power of using artificial light, of using diffusion cloths, of using modifiers, and all of those different tools, right? So I think it's really, really important that, hey, what's up? I'm just seeing the comments here, that we understand from a very fundamental level that if you are going to say you're a cinematographer, if you're going to say you're a photographer, if you're going to say that you are any sort of professional within a creative space, you have to understand from a microscopic level and building up from there, fundamentals of every single aspect of that profession. Even if you know that you're not going to do it and use it as much, it's very, very important to have, because as I go back to my original point, you used to tell me use flash, and I said, I don't know, I just wanted to use natural light. And then I got to situations where I couldn't use natural light because the natural light's gone, or it's overpowered, or it's not giving me the type of look I want. And then I had to now use strobes, or I had to use flashes or artificial light. And the camera was great.
Yeah,
The images end up being as good or even better, right?
Yeah, because most yeah, I know. I know. I sound kind of a little bit weird when I say that, but a lot of photographers say, "Oh, they just natural. They like to take photograph naturally." But doing that, you need an assistant, because at least you need an assistant with a reflector or something.
But then that comes back down to business, the business side of things, where and this is something I had to learn, was I cannot be a one-man band anymore.
No.
I have to, like, if I have a rate, my rate has to now add another $150 or $200 for my assistant, right?
Correct.
And then that assistant is going to help me, even if it's just carry my equipment, carry the light stand, carry the boom or the bounce or whatever else. I have to have somebody doing that, because you can't be trying to work with the client and making the client happy and smiling and laughing, and then trying to check your settings, and then also trying to lift a whole bunch of equipment and
No,
lenses.
you
It's
need
just
you need an assistant. You probably need two
absolutely,
assistants sometimes,
absolutely,
because it depends on the kind of lighting you're gonna like that person, especially outdoor photography, right? So, I know lighting. Like I said, lighting is very important.
yeah.
It's light is all about photography. Whatever you do,
I
you
want to
know.
make sure that you're in focus.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. You know, yeah. So we see on the same plane,
Yeah, we have to
right?
be on the same plane.
Same planes, right?
This is what
Okay, then.
happens. This is what happens
Yeah,
when you do a live stream with your
yeah.
DSLR and it's 2.8. It's at 2.8. It
Yeah,
should never be
yeah,
at
no,
2.8. There's no reason for that. For a
Well,
live stream.
I'm telling you something. If you don't know, if you want to learn some stuff about your flash and how to use it properly, just DM Tristan and I'll do a session with you. You know,
And,
on,
and,
on
and
that
matter
lighting.
matter of fact, we can do some sessions while you're here. My dad's living with me for a little bit. Both my mom and my dad. That sounds kind of weird. My parents are, but long story. But he's been helping me a lot. My mom's been helping me a lot, and he actually has a channel called
Bobby Jamaican cooking.
Bobby's Jamaican cooking. But I want to know, based upon just what you heard from him so far, would you want this sort of segment, maybe weekly or bi-weekly, every couple of weeks, where I do a segment with my dad, whether it's a live stream or it's a video or whatever else? It's something that I'm working out. I mean, again, he's an OG. He's one of those original gangsters in the photography game. He was one of those dudes that was in in the dark rooms, developing films, doing all that sort of stuff. So if you have questions even now, please put them in the chat. I'll answer them. Put them in the super chat if you want to throw up a super chat. We appreciate that. If you just want to ask a question about photography, cinematography, digital storytelling, the gear, if you want to make a comment about the Canon EOS R6 or the Canon EOS R5, we're here. We're talking right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But what do you think about this? Yeah, what do you think about this whole segment and us doing this kind of?
Oh yeah, you know what? I love to really do more. Okay, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
out there. Oh, photography. Guess what? We can talk about photography for
Oh, look right here, look
for
right.
months and months and months and months and months, and even on one topic.
Yep.
Even on one topic. So I don't know how much you know or how much do you want to know, but DM Tristan.
And here's the thing, we're cool because we're Jamaican, we're like our spice and our seasoning, and we're good, and we're ready to teach you and take you to another level.
Yes,
take you to another
yeah.
level, father son thing.
Yes.
Basically,
yes.
for those that don't understand patois, I just said we're gonna help you elevate your education and your experience
Yeah.
and take you to another level so that you can enjoy it. As father and son, we want to educate you. That's basically what we say.
But to be honest, if you really want to learn some stuff about photography, some really good stuff, send some pass on some conversation to us and let us know, right?
Send us your work.
Yeah.
We'd love to take a look at your work and give honest
Yeah,
feedback
yeah.
and let you know what we think and what some of the things we would do to improve or to change or adjust. The other thing that I want to ask you about was, which a lot of photographers I find are very afraid of, outside of like using strobes and things like that, is posing. What's your thoughts about posing?
Oh, gee. That's I know. Posing is where a lot of photographers and they can't get a hold of that properly, right? But that's something you have to practice, right? And don't be afraid to take photographs.
Yeah.
And before you take your photograph, you have to have an eye for things that you normally wouldn't see. For example, the shirt collar might be up. For example, a hair might be sticking out. You must be focus on those stuff, because those stuff that's make your photograph good.
Sorry, go ahead.
And before, make sure here's the number one kicker for this stuff. Never go to Photoshop or your editing software to edit your photograph. Always take the photograph properly from the beginning, so you don't do no post.
So we don't have the mindset of I'll just edit it in post. That's not what we're supposed to do, Dad.
No, no. You're supposed from the beginning. You're supposed to have proper lighting. You're
Yes,
supposed
yes,
to light your subject properly.
I agree.
If you light your subject properly, you pose your subject properly. You don't have to do too much editing.
You know, and this is the, I'll tell you a real life example. I remember when you told me about, again, I kind of started to subscribe to the idea of doing using strobes, and I invested in a strobe, and I invested in an umbrella. And this is one thing that I learned from my dad really a long time ago. I don't know if I'm in focus. I don't know. Step back a bit. There you go. There we go. We're in focus. There.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned from my dad was to practice before you get to the project. You don't practice on the day of the project. You practice before. So one of the things I do is I buy the things that I know that I'll need for my next job. I don't know when the next job is going to be, but I buy it for when I need it. So, for instance, right now I have, strobes. I have constant lights, all this sort of stuff. And one of the things I remember purchasing was I purchased a 7-foot umbrella, which I'd never seen you ever have. I just purchased one because I wanted that diffused sort of lighting. And then I got a diffusion cloth on top of it. And I remember going to an engagement last year, and it was a dark room. I only brought one light. It was like it was a larger Godox light, a 600 something. And I went, it was in a dark winery cellar. And I put up this light, I put up the umbrella, I had my assistant with me, and I took one shot. And that immediately, it was like, oh my God, the lighting is amazing, right? But I wouldn't have been able to get that if I hadn't started to subscribe to the idea of understanding all elements of photography.
Yeah.
But then also understanding the importance of practicing before, right? I have to practice before I become perfect, right? And I think a lot of people are afraid of that, right? And also with that, I also learned, because of you forced me to, pretty much, to pose. And posing doesn't mean that you have your finger on one tree and tell them to go like this and look away, or to go like this, or do one of these real estate photography photos. No, it's not. That's not what posing is. Posing can be natural. Posing can feel natural, right? What posing really is supposed to do is designed to do is it's designed to make the person that's in front of the camera, your client, look their best, their very best. And when you pose correctly, it won't look unnatural, and it won't look contrived. It won't make the person feel or look worse than they really are.
Yeah, because I look at
some. I don't know if that made sense, but
I look at some of your work, and oh my gosh, I think your work is incredible. Very, very good work. Very good work, good lighting. For that period of time that Tristan is doing photography, I'm telling excellent work.
By the way,
these are excellent work.
Stop bragging on your child. It just makes it sound like you're bragging. Listen. There's a question. Let's see what the question is here. What's a good starting DSLR or other cameras for someone new to it? That's a great question. Thank you. That is from Rogue Ops War. What's a good? What's your thoughts? I'll save my thoughts for the end. I'll let you go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know. Okay. The first thing you have to think of, right? You have to think of the end result of the photos.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Whether you like it, like
and in some cases now, remember, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I did. It's not just always photo; it's also video now, because people are doing multiple things.
It's just the end result of your video or your photography. Is that, do you want a warm photograph like what Canon always give? Canon gives warm photos, warm videos, right? Do you want a sharp where the colors are, just saturated and jumping at you? Then you have to go to a Sony or a Nikon. I think Nikon, right? Nikon. Those are. I normally don't use those cameras because it's not too soft. It's too saturated for me. The greens and the yellow and all that stuff. Some people like that, but I don't.
And sorry, go ahead.
I just like Canon. But if you're gonna buy a camera, right, I would encourage you don't go for the cheapest camera. Okay,
Hold on,
don't go for the cheapest camera, right?
because that was dope.
Yeah.
Very, very dope.
Yeah, save your money, and even if you have to rent for the time being, but make sure you get a camera which is a professional camera.
And start from the very beginning. Start shooting manual. Don't listen to anybody what anybody else has to say. Just learn manual. It's like
But Tristan, that's what some other time we have to tell him that.
That's true. We can't give them all the sauce. We can't give them everything. We can't give them all the jerk and the flavor and the curry and everything.
You have to take out some of the spices.
Okay, good. This is just boiled chicken right now, right? We can't give them everything. This is just breakfast. You want lunch and dinner, you have to come back.
But you know what I want to tell you, if you want to be a real professional photographer, hit us up, man.
Yeah.
Hit us
There's
up.
another question. There's another question. Oh, so my answer to that question is definitely if you are looking at doing it for leisure, or you're just getting into it, I would look at something full frame and sort of entry level. So even if it's not the current model, it's like, an A7 Mark II. It's full frame. It's a great camera. You can do a lot of things with it. Yeah. Some of the 6Ds, some of the older 5D Mark IIIs, or the EOS R, something like that would be really good. What's another camera manufacturer? I mean, Nikon. I haven't really touched Nikon. The thing that I do like about Nikon is it's very neutral and very real to life. If you're looking for that sort of thing, right out the camera.
And before you answer that, and to add to that, like Tristan says, that's what I teach all the time. Always shoot, always manual. And I don't know, but I know most people don't do it. But if you can stay away from your autofocus, I would encourage you a little bit.
So Yogi Fish says, he says, how did your father get started? Because he look like my age, He look like my age.
Yeah.
Big up to Yogi. Big up. You don't know.
Guess what? I got one of the your SLR from my brother, but I always like photography, right? I got one of the LSS, and I loved it, So what I did, I went to night school, like in Toronto, right? Sorry about that.
Big up Humber.
Before I went to Humber, I went to night school.
What?
I went to like you usually have the night classes in the Toronto District School Board. And then that was like a club. I usually go on trips, and every
pick
fall
up woman
and fall and we have winter and summer. We usually go on trips, right? And then after that, I went to Umber College to do my photography, right? But it's good to go to school and get your and do your photography, or if you can't do that, always try and get somebody who can mentor you.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody who knows about photography and can mentor you.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is something that I have struggled with, and I've seen other younger photographers struggle with, and other younger creatives, is that don't be afraid of getting a mentor. Don't be afraid of people mentoring you that are harsh, that are critical. Don't just get somebody that's going to say, man, you do great photos, or you do great everything. Get somebody that's like, my dad is my harshest critic, okay? When I think I do well, and he has things to pick on, he'll be like, oh, pick on that. And it's not a bad thing. He's like, but why did you pose in that way? Why is their hands that? Did you know that you use like a wide angle lens because, their foot is longer than their face or whatever, right? But it helps you. It sharpens you. If you want to be the best, you got to be willing to put yourself out there. One last thing. You started, so that was like in the 80s, right? That's what Yogi wants to know.
Yeah, early 80s.
Early 80s.
Early 80s.
All right, we got another question here. We got a question from Gerard Evans. Let's see this. This is a longer question. What do you think about investing in the R5 for professional video and photos when you already own a 5D Mark IV? Hold on. We need to put it back up there. And are already using professional lighting. Zcam is so much more reasonable in cost. Yeah, no, I hear that. So I think this is more on my end because I know a little bit more about that. I would say that, and I'm gonna make a video about like I made a reaction video. I'm just gonna edit it soon enough. But the EOS R got announced today. For those of you that don't know, big up to Canon. They have now caught up to everybody else, and they haven't lapped anybody. They haven't done anything outside of doing 8K RAW internally that anybody else hasn't done. So I think they're in a really unique place. I think for myself, I wouldn't buy that camera, not because it's not a good camera. I think it's a great camera. It's the camera that I was waiting for 5 or 6 years when I was still kind of on the fence, still had a little bit of Canon gear and was transitioning to Sony. But now that I've invested in the Sony ecosystem and in the Zcam ecosystem, I just don't think that for me, pound for pound, to switch back over to Canon would make any sense. Right? If I was just starting out right now, I probably would buy that camera. That camera is sexy as hell. I mean, 8K. Somebody say 8K? 8K! 8K! I mean, let's be honest. 8K is dope. But on a day-to-day basis to run my business, to shoot weddings, I don't need 8K.
No, you don't need 8K.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can, for the price of, it's about $5,300 Canadian, right? For the body alone. That's not adapters. That's not lenses yet or anything like that. If we're getting into lenses and adapters, all that sort of stuff, we're looking at about, for one lens, a body, a EOS R5 body and an adapter, we're looking at maybe $8,000, $9,000, right? That's not batteries, more batteries yet. That's not grips, not everything else. So for me, it's not really economical when I can buy a couple of Z-cams. I can buy a couple of A7 3s that can do the job, that shoot 4K, beautiful 1080p, 120 frame rate. So all of those things, I got to think about that from a business standpoint, right? When you're running a business, you're not just thinking about cool tech. You're thinking about what can do the job and deliver it at a high level, but for the cheapest cost, right? That's sort of my answer to that. I hope that answers your question. Oh, we got some more questions. Let's see here. Hold on, let me see here. Is there a certain setting or spice that I need to work on
if you want to switch to manual, right?
If I were to switch to manual,
this is another,
I need some good spice. Okay. I was really sure.
I think we can.
You want to do another show?
Yeah, we have to come on about manual.
Listen. This guy's the hustler,
Listen, let me tell you something. I only shoot manual. I shoot 1,000 shots, and I refocus 1,000 times. I hope you can do that.
Hey.
1,000 shot and refocus 1,000 times.
Oh wow, yeah, no, he's crazy. Right. Also, we had you on my digital storytelling class with Mo. Okay. Oh yes, I remember. Yes, I need to come back on that. I need to come back to that. I would love to contribute again. Yogi says, "LOL, school club." Let me put that up there. Let's see what else is there. Oops. Let's see what else. What other questions are there? You convinced me to buy. I convinced you to buy the Roadcaster Pro. They owe you commission. Listen. When I buy something, listen. This is the Jamaican in me. Okay. Here's the thing that you'll realize about being Jamaican. Okay. Jamaicans, if they hear about a special, listen, Bobby, I heard about a special for red stripe. You have to go down to LCBO and buy some red stripe. It's only $4.99. Bobby, I heard about mango. They're 50 cents a pound for mango. One. You know what I mean? So Jamaicans love to share good news. They love to share. If they know about a sale, a special, or something else, they want to share it with everybody else. So that's how I felt about the Roadcaster Pro. I love the Roadcaster Pro. Big up to Rode. I want some free gear. I want free gear. Okay. No, but for real, it's like we just want to always share good things. Oh yes. I love what you said. 8K. It's all about the 8K. It really is. We have another question from Yogi. Yogi's just asking a question. What do you think about the Zcam zoom lenses? I never use them myself. Zoom lenses. What do you think about zoom lenses?
Okay, no, all right.
Zoom lenses are for lazy creatives. Okay. That's what zoom lenses are for.
Zoom lenses is not the best thing to have, But if that's what you can afford, that's why you should
prime
get,
lens,
right?
buddy.
Yeah, get a prime lens is a better lens than a zoom lens, right? Because the reason why a zoom lens is not the greatest lens, unless it's all the way through is the same
consistency.
Yes, but if it's not the same consistency, no.
Yeah. So when we're talking about consistency, aperture. So
Yeah.
aperture or f-stop. So when you see zoom lenses that have 3.5 to 5.6, that means that it's changing the amount of light that's actually going to able to
Yeah.
hit the sensor.
Yeah.
Which it can be a nuisance when you're in situations where you want to know exactly what you can get out of your lens and out of your gear, right? So that's why you see lenses that have continuous apertures like 2.8, f4, f2, consistently through the focal length. They're more expensive and they're generally larger because there's more technology to make it so that there's consistency and there's a more amount of light that can hit the sensor.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I said we're gonna try and do some more.
Oh yeah,
some
my
more,
dad doesn't want to
because,
give any more tips.
because there's a lot of stuff to learn. Because first of all,
Yeah.
I can say this and ask you the question, and you should answer us. Do you, as a photographer, do you as a videographer use a light meter?
Mm.
Do you use a light meter?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't use a light meter. I look at a
use
light meter and I get kind of scared. I really
okay,
do.
Okay, if you watch movies, right? They always say director or photographer. If you go on a set when they're doing a movie, there's always person measuring the light. You can't just put up the light and said, "Well, this is good." You can't do that,
Make sure you're in focus.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in focus, right? Yeah, good. What? Yeah. So if you don't lose a light meter, I think you should consider getting a light meter. I mean, your photograph would be better. Your videography would be better.
Yeah.
Right? You don't depend on the camera to give you the exact thing, right? And I don't think, I mean, you might say I'm old-fashioned, but they still make light meter. And
You're old-fashioned.
They're making better light
We
meter.
the new generation.
No,
We take over everything. 8K.
Guess what? Most people don't even know how to use a light meter, measure the light. They don't even know the f-stop. You know, if you're in a situation where, oh my gosh, I left all my some equipment at home, my flash. How do you measure the light? How do you know if you don't know your f-stop, you don't know your ISO? What are you gonna do? Just guess? Hey, let me give you a joke. Guess what? One time there was somebody said, "Oh, okay, I did the engagement." I said, "I'm not gonna use it to do my wedding. We're gonna go with this other photographer because they've been in the business." And guess what? So the person they hired to do the wedding didn't use a flash.
Of course not.
So you know what happened now on the light condition.
Let me guess. They're natural light photographers.
Natural light. So they have to go like ISO 2 I would say 800 or 2000. So and they have to have a slow shutter speed, right? So what happened is that most of the photograph came out. Sometimes you don't see the hand, or you see the reaction of the hands moving like this. You see that,
Yeah.
So it's something to think about. It's very
Well,
important.
we have another topic that's thrown out, and this is probably going to be our last topic. Again, we love the comments. Definitely jump into the super chat if you want to give us a super chat. It's all good. It's all love. I know we're in a pandemic still. We're still in a little bit of a recession. So, yo, listen, man. I mean, I'll take 50 cents right now. I don't even need $5. Like you can just take the change out your pocket, son.
Yeah.
No, but for real. So we got a question, not question, but like what is it here? UB Productions or U Production says, let's talk about ProRes RAW. What do you want to know about ProRes RAW? Here's the thing. Because I remember when you first purchased your very first digital camera. I think it was the D10 or 10D. What was it again?
The 10D.
The 10D.
Oh
It was a
God,
10D. And he spent so much. I remember my dad had a wad of cash and he went to this camera manufacturer and he spent the money. He brought us there. And that's a CFast card.
No, because I was saying I'm not gonna show the phone, but a flash card like this when I just bought it, I just paid for. It was what? Not even maybe just what? I don't remember.
Maybe 500 megabytes or something.
Yeah, so, that much?
Yeah.
$250.
Yeah.
$250.
Absolutely. ProRes RAW. So the reason why I brought that up was because obviously you transitioned from shooting JPEG to RAW, and obviously photography was the first thing to get RAW, right?
Yeah.
And that was like when we're talking about RAW. For those that don't understand, RAW speaks to getting the camera basically creating a file of the raw information that the sensor is actually reading and taking in based on the light that's hitting the sensor, right? So it's not a format. It's not a JPEG. It's not a TIFF. It's not any other format. It's an actual raw format. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. We got a super chat. Hey! Hey! We got a $10 super chat. I know I can't get a box of patty. Thank you. Listen to me, Yogi. I see you, you know. I see you. Thank you for the box of patty. Thank you. Anyways, listen. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about raw. We're talking about raw information, the raw readout of the actual sensor, the camera sensor. So in photography terms, it's a file that is basically created by that camera. It's raw bit color. It's all the color information, all the light information, a lot of flexibility.
Put it this way.
It's like buying a raw chicken.
Yes,
it's like buying a raw
beef,
chicken. Yeah,
right. And then you have to you cut off what you want to cut off,
Yep.
and then you cook it, and then it comes down to.
But now we're talking about raw ProRes RAW or raw video, right?
Yes.
And raw video, the first person to introduce it was Red Camera. They introduced it first, and it was amazing. And you had all this flexibility. You had the log footage. You could color it, do all that sort of stuff, right? This person's talking about ProRes RAW coming to the Z-Cam, right? And ProRes RAW being an Apple product, right? I think ProRes RAW is not really raw. Because if you're talking about what raw is raw data.
Yep.
It's being able to change first of all, having all of the information, the raw data that came from the camera, came from that file, meaning being able to change the color temperature, being able to change the things like the sharpness, the contrast, all of those different things, right? Being able to really fine-tune the color palette of that raw data.
Basically in control of all
of everything.
Stuff. Yeah.
ProRes RAW doesn't give you that. ProRes RAW gives you a compressed version of that. So for instance, I watched the video, and I may link it into this live later on, but a guy was talking about it. He was saying, like, comparing ProRes RAW to like Red RAW, it's like night and day. Red RAW, you put it into your computer and you can actually adjust like the ISO. You can adjust the exposure, you can adjust a whole bunch of things, the Kelvin, because all of that is baked into the file. And that's why it's so large. ProRes RAW is like, it's a beefier version that gives you a little bit more flexibility in post, but it doesn't give you all of the truer senses of what RAW is supposed to be, right? Because it's still ProRes, which is, ProRes is a file type, a video file type on its own. If it was really raw, it would just be raw, right? So, things like that are things to think about. Sorry, go ahead. Keep on talking, Dan.
Well, no, we just want to see anybody any more questions?
Yeah, let's see. Sweet brother. We saw that. I shoot in log. Let's see here. I shoot in log. Is the raw 12-bit way more taxing on your CPU? It can be. Yes, it is. I mean, you're looking at, if you shoot log and you're shooting log in ProRes or in H.264, you're looking at a 10-bit and maybe an 8-bit sort of color space. When you're looking at raw, you're looking at 12-bit color space. It's 444 or something like that instead of 422. So, and again, I don't want to get too technical, but it's going to be more taxing on your system. So that's something to really think about and to be and to be aware of, right? Yes, color space, sweet. Okay, thanks. Perfect. All right. Well, with that, I mean, we've been on here for 45 minutes. Whoa. Guys, if you have more questions, guys and gals, anybody that's here, send us your questions. DM me. I'll send it through Twitter through Twitter. You can follow you at what? Bobby 102.
No, Bob 9054.
Bob 09.
Bob 90.
Bob 9054. It's such a Jamaican. Bob 9054 Industries. Why?
Hey,
you already know.
Guess what? Okay. Seriously, if you're really interested in getting to be a real professional photographer, let us know. Just tell us, send us some topics. As long as it's not underwater topic.
I had one other question that is very interesting around ProRes RAW. So Perspective says, is ProRes RAW 4.4, is there any chroma subsampling? It's less data than ProRes 4.44. So when you're filming RAW, at least with the cameras I've shot with, raw is raw, right? So there's no sort of like sort of tiers in raw. There is tiers in raw, I should say, in photography senses, but not in cinematography as of yet, unless you're shooting in with a Red camera. I know Red in particular, because they actually own the codec or the brand or whatever else of actual raw. They have like certain levels of raw, right? So you could, just like you would have, raw medium, raw large, raw small, they have something similar to that in their ecosystem. Anyways, I hope that answers some of your questions. We really appreciate the time. We were just jumping on just to kind of say hi and do this really quickly. Hit us up, DM us. You know where to find us. And until the next time, stay creative, stay positive, and stay safe. Peace.